Okay, in this video, we're going to be looking at how to monitor the anterior deltoid muscle. And so Carol is joining us again for that, and we're going to see how this happens. So the first thing is that the anterior deltoid muscle is located on the shoulder, and it crosses the shoulder and comes down and connects down into the arm. And this is the muscle that swings your arms forward when you're walking. So the range of motion is kind of like that. So what we do then, and that the range of motion is important because that's what determines what direction you apply your pressure in when you're monitoring a muscle, doing muscle response feedback. So I'm going to bring her arm about 30 degrees forward. Now, some will say that this can go as high as 45 degrees. That's okay. I prefer 30. I think when you get to 45, you have other muscles that come into play. And you see even with Carol, her shoulder starts to hike. So the joint gets a little distorted. And so I like to keep it at a place where that doesn't happen. And then the other aspect of that is basically I've just got her arm coming forward. And turn this way, Carol. Notice the arm is straight forward and her palm is kind of facing down and in. Now, this is going to be another little controversial part, particularly for people that are watching this that have other experience with muscle response feedback, because many people are taught to actually turn the palm so that it's facing backwards. And personally, I don't like that. I think that distorts the direction of the muscle fibers, which is something you don't want when you're monitoring a muscle. And the reality is we don't walk around like this. We walk like this. And that's the muscle pulling the arm forward. Now I could go into deeper explanations, but that's beyond our scope here. So I'm just going to stick with this position of having the palm just slightly turned in towards the groin. So the arm is forward about 30 degrees, palm facing slightly in, and the elbow locked and straight. And so now I'm going to simply apply a little bit of pressure just above the wrist. I don't want to apply it on the wrist or below the wrist, because the wrist has some mobility here, and I don't want the person engaging more muscles to hold their wrist tight. I just want them to hold the arm and have all this pressure go right up into this muscle to challenge that muscle's ability to hold. So are you ready?
Ready.
Okay, so I'm just going to lightly touch just above the wrist, and when I'm ready to actually add any pressure, I simply alert Carol by saying, hold. So, ready?
Mm-hmm.
And hold. And now I add my gradual pressure to a point where I feel like she's engaging and matching my pressure and able to hold. Do you feel that?
Yep.
Okay. And once I feel like I get my response, then I release my pressure. Now, that felt to me like she was holding. That felt pretty good to you? If she wasn't, then there might have been like a little bouncing, or the arm would simply go down, or she would start actually resisting and pushing up, and not and powering back. But she didn't do any of that. What I'm looking for is to simply apply this pressure, and if there's no movement, I'm applying it gradually enough that it gives her the ability to match my energy for the muscle to respond, so that there's no movement at all and it holds perfectly right there. And I release. Now, another thing you want to be aware of is what you do with your other hand. When monitoring anterior deltoid, you just want to make sure that you don't put it right on the muscle itself. You never want to touch the muscle that you're monitoring, because you bring energy to it and that can mask a response. And Muscles always operate in a circuit with the same muscle, its muscle pair on the other side of the body. So in this case, I had my hand over on the other side. I just want to make sure I'm not on the muscle on the other side, that, I was behind her actually. And so that you're not bringing energy into the muscle circuit that might also mask a response. And hold. And that's it. Just a little bit of gradual pressure to the point where I feel a response, keeping in mind what we did in the push hands exercise. It's that same quality of touch that you're just trying to identify at what's the earliest point at which you feel the person engaging and the muscle either holding or not. And that's how you monitor anterior deltoid. See you in the next video.